welcome to this. Thanks for. You look great, man. This is Pastor Sidney welcoming everyone to another episode of the Holy Rollers Mystic Podcast. Brother Anthony, how you doing today?
Great.
I have Gospel Thomas up here, and I have the 51st saying, and I'll just say it right now. His disciples said to him, "When will the rest for the dead take place, and when will the new world come?" He said, "What are you looking forward to has come, but you don't know it."
It's all about the kingdom.
Yes, and we could talk. I could go on if you want to. If you want me to go on to a different one, I could do a couple of things first.
You can talk about this one for a couple minutes.
Yeah, go ahead, friend. Talk about that.
He's talking about the kingdom. The kingdom is here and now. Oh, we're too ignorant not to see it. It's the abundance inside your heart.
Right. It is kind of almost the way Buddhist concept of enlightenment. A lot of the enlightenment thought isn't that you go to a different place to become a different being, but that you realize what you already have is enlightenment. You realize what you already have is the kingdom. You know, and if we all were to realize that together, we would have a heavenly place on earth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not only that, I can't forget this point, he was more telling us so that the kingdom is inside of us.
Yes.
And not anywhere else. I had to put that point in there because a lot of people might be like, "Oh, I don't understand what these..." But that's the point. The point is that the kingdom of God is within. That's the main point to that.
I agree with you 100%. I just would like to extend the idea of it does have a connection to the so-called real external world, in that if every one of us were in the spirit, or if a lot of us were in the spirit, we would make the world, that internal place and that external place would fuse, kind of. It would become one thought. Like, we would become participants in a heavenly world. Even though most of it has to do with you being that way or me being that way, the fact that we're sharing it together makes us both be there. But if we could eventually have more and more people join in on that, we would have a much happier world. The kingdom.
From my experience personally, it's more like your inner is going to reflect your outer.
I see.
That's what I've learned. They teach you in church the opposite. Your outer affects your inner, but it's really your inner comes out and starts to pour like water.
I see that.
So, like, by doing so, it affects everybody around you. And it starts to bring them into the same time.
That's like, you know, when we've had our fellowship with this church, you know, even there's a few people who come or more people or, you know, very few people, depending on what happens, what Sunday or what gathering we do. It always has that feeling that we are sharing that space within each other because we are always in that great place of giving and being at peace and being connected to God. And that's contagious. It's contagious.
Well, that's the whole Gnostic thought. He had a direct experience with God.
He had a direct experience with God. I mean? That's right. I agree. Well,
so that's all ties in together.
Let me go on to the next saying, 52. Saying 52. His disciples said to him, 24 prophets have spoken in Israel, and they all spoke of you. He said to them, "You have disregarded the living one who is in your presence and have spoken of the dead."
That actually being ignorant towards the living.
Yeah, ignorant towards the living and not paying attention to what's really there. I also want to say something about. I'm sorry.
What? Yes, please.
Say hi to everybody for me.
My son.
Say hi to Gabriel and Angel and everybody. But I want to say about this.
I said hi. My oldest one at work.
Oh, lovely. Well, let me just tell you what I think of this. It has a reference to the 24 people in, I think it's in Revelation 4, where they're all kind of bowing down to the being in the middle of the Revelation, which is the God that we're all becoming part of. If you read the whole Revelation, these 24 prophecies, 2 for each house of the zodiac, if you will. All of them can be disregarded because the living one is the one that's the real one, which is him, which is us. That's how I read that.
Sorry,
friend. Sorry, friend. Say it a little slower. Say it a little slower, friend.
The first one that you said,
yes,
is not like he's saying circumcision is not wrong or right, but what he's saying is the circumcision of the spirit or the soul is more important.
Right, right. And this would have come up in the first, 100 years of the Nazarene. Original worshippers of Jesus were Jewish folk who allowed Greek people to join. So you had Nazarene was Jewish and Greek together. So the idea of actual circumcision came up in conversation as a symbol of being dedicated to God. But as you just said, Jesus is saying, look, the real usefulness is the circumcision within your soul. And then I
basically boom.
Right. I would say congratulations to the poor, for to you belongs to heaven's kingdom. That's pretty direct of what he said in the canonical gospels too, is that, the poor people are his favorite people. Because, there's so much that poor people, they look to God. I mean, when I've been really down and out, I look to God with a great intensity. And God really takes care of me. And when you get more ability, when you have more resources, you might forget where it comes from. You might forget that it comes from God, no matter how much or how little you have. But when you're poor, you don't have that luxury. You definitely ask God a lot what to do. I find that in my own life too.
Well, I find it more of the poor are spiritually rich because they know how to live without the riches of the world.
Without the
riches of the world is what corrupts a man.
Definitely.
Not that money's a bad thing, because it's not really a bad thing. It's just a tool in our society to be able to live. You know what I mean?
Right.
So where the poor learns to live without all that fancy stuff, but they learn to go and pray and be more sacred with God. Basically, it's a principality over money.
Right. I'm emphasizing the negative part of it. You're emphasizing the positive part. If you are poor in spirit, you don't have the need or the addiction to all the riches of the world, which again makes you more united with God.
You're unattached, yep. Like the Buddhists would say it.
Well, the
Attach
Buddhists would say
yourself from everything.
Exactly. Let me go on with the sayings. We're going to do the 10 sayings. 55. Saying 55. Jesus said, "Whoever does not hate father and mother cannot be my disciple, and whoever does not hate brothers and sisters and carry the cross as I do will not be worthy of me." Saying 56. Jesus said, "Whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass, and whoever has discovered a carcass, of that person the world is not worthy."
That almost sounds like you're talking about like the soul of the world. You know what I mean?
When you
see the soul of the world.
Yes.
What will you do? Will you honor the soul of the world or the truth, or would you turn your back on it?
In other words,
most people get to the river. I'm gonna just say, like, most people you can be led to the river, but it's up to you to drink.
Right.
Some people, like I had a student, I led him to the river, he refused to drink and walked the other way. I was so shocked.
Oh, I'm sorry, friend. It's always sad when you have someone you've invested time in and they decide to go anywhere, decide to go in a different direction than you were hoping for.
He's still a work in progress. He's still there. What it is he's scared. And I understand. Because when I first started my journey, some of my vivid dreams made me nervous, a little scared. A couple of them made me uneasy, but like as time goes on, you start to understand that, and you start to see the signs in your life. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like people don't realize, like, for instance, could you imagine an angel of God visiting you in a dream? Just the sheer magnitude of the being will terrify you.
Definitely.
So it takes some getting used to.
Well, I'll go on with a couple other sayings. Saying 57, Jesus said, "The Father's kingdom is like a person who has good seed. His enemy came during the night and sowed weeds among the good seed. The person did not let the workers pull up the weeds, but said to them, 'No, otherwise you might go to pull up the weeds and pull up the wheat along with them. For on the day of the harvest, the weeds will be conspicuous and will be pulled up and burned.'"
At the harvest, they clear everything.
Right.
So what he's talking about there is, I don't know if you ever heard of self-cultivating. They have it in a lot of the Gnostic scriptures, where when you become a good person, it's just not only becoming a good person, you need to cultivate good people, goodness inside you.
I agree with that.
So when harvest time comes, you have all these treasures, and you can replant and bring more into existence.
I love that.
You gotta get what I mean?
Totally. So he's basically saying about our church or our friends or our circles, like the gatherers, like that. That is what this particular saying is talking about. Like whoever is planted near you, you can make them good with you, as we all become part of the harvest.
Yes, basically.
I love that. That's great, Brother Anthony. I appreciate you. That's a great way to see that. I've got 3 more sayings, and then we can kind of be done with the show or go on, depending. But saying 58, Jesus said, "Congratulations to the person who has toiled and has found life." 59, Jesus said, "Look to the living one as long as you live, otherwise you might die and then try to see the living one and you will be unable to see." And
that means once you die, once you die, oh my God, it's kind of weird because when you're alive, there's something that has to do with these bodies we have that allow us to do things with that connected. Okay, I'm saying it, the same person that inhabits me inhabits you. That's why we could fall in sin.
Yes.
Because God inhabits me and God inhabits you.
God inhabits in me and God inhabits you.
Connection between us. The connection between us is always there. It's whether we ignore it or not.
Oh, I love this. Well,
because we all are one people.
Well, I've seen that with other people in the church, and definitely you and me over the several years we've been talking on and off, and then now more. There's definitely like a spirit that we share. You're right. Like sometimes I will complete each other's sentences, and that's just like the such ease with which the Spirit dwells among us. It's beautiful.
Yep.
I have go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I'll just finish this at 60. Saying 60, he saw a Samaritan carrying a lamb and going to Judea. He said to his disciples, "That person, ... ellipsis, around the lamb." They said to him, "So that he may kill it and eat it." So he said to them, "He will not eat it while it is alive, but only after he has killed it and it has become a carcass." They said, "Otherwise he can't do it." He said to them, "So also with you. Seek for yourself a place for rest." or you might become a carcass and be eaten. Pretty intense.
As part of, I find it as part of like being a carnivore, because like if you eat dead things, what is that going to do for you? It's going to make you dead in the inside.
Right.
But when you eat living things that are conscious, like me and you, will go and have a fruit or a vegetable or something, which right. No matter if we pick it or not, it's still alive.
Yes.
It carries living consciousness.
Definitely. I love this. And
where if you eat beef, it doesn't have those attributes.
Well, it's interesting that like the original Christians were pescatarians because they believed the fish were actually like plants, and they thought they grew under the sea. So really, in their minds, they were only eating vegetables and occasionally fish too. So it was very much part of the early Christian experience to be kind of how the Seventh-day Adventists are now, where they're very vegan-centered, very vegetarian-centered.
Well, you got to remember, in the beginning, it says that God created a garden. He didn't say eat the lion, eat whatever's on the tree.
That's right. God, he did say eat what's on the tree. He did not say go, kill an animal to eat. That's a very good point, friend. Do you want to go on with some more saying?
That's why I slowly turned.
That you slowly go to vegetarian?
I think we covered most of it.
Okay. Well,
I think we covered it.
Well, brother Anthony, thank you for your time. It's been this is a really short one today. We went through from sayings 51 to 60. So we'll have that out soon. And let's get together next week too, and we'll do some more. There's been talk of maybe Vice Pastor Sabrina joining us, and also our friend DC had been interested. Said he wanted to talk to us in April, so it's already after April. So up to you, of course, and what you think. These are really good people that we can have as guest stars as we continue.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, Sarah. What's fine?
Hey, I'm fine with it. We're a team. There's not just eat. We work together. There's no me without you, and there's no. Well, I can't say there's no you.
There's no me without you too, man. There's no me without you too. You're right about that. I really appreciate what we're doing, Anthony. I appreciate you, going from just talking about it to actually getting the series that we can show people. I really appreciate everything you've done for this, and I really appreciate other people who've come to join us too, like Elder Miguel, and it'll be DC and might join us. Sabrina might join us. It's going to be a great continuing discussion of this very important gospel.
Yeah, it is very important. So, like, there's a lot of things that are in there that, like, we kind of, like, brush through it a little bit.
Sure.
But the gospel tongues, bro, I could be on this for, like, 300 episodes if I really wanted to go deeply into it.
For sure. Go ahead.
It's just a lot of esoteric knowledge mixed in with spirituality, mixed in with religion. So you got a pot of it all just like going together. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, friend. I really appreciate this.
Oh, so do I, Sid. I got to get my face out there and start letting people know the right way instead of everybody leading into these traps that the system is setting out there for us.
Definitely.
You can have money and still be free. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
They just make it a deception of, well, it's bad. All the bad people got all the money and all the poor people are good, because it's not necessarily always like that, because you run across some rich people that do.
Well, there's individual rich people who are great people. There's individual poor people who are terrible people. It's not as easy as just that easy team playing thing. You got to go beyond the team and actually get to the wisdom itself, which is why I love doing what we're doing. Because whoever you are hearing this, you could be many money, you could have no money, you could be somewhere in the middle, and this hopefully can reach out to you.
I didn't even know you're still recording.
Yeah, we are, my brother. Well, I mean, Brother Anthony, let me say goodbye to you right now, and we'll get together next week.
That's fine, unless you.
This is good because we're having some technical trouble anyway. So, do you want to say anything to the folks at the end, Brother Anthony? Say whatever you want to, and. Well, bless you, Brother Anthony.
Thank you. By me blessing everybody, I bless myself too.
God bless. Well, bless everybody and bless us and bless you. And we'll leave it at that. We'll see you next week.